This meeting is being recorded.
Welcome to Focus on the Candidates. My guest today is Stan Leavell, and Stan is running for Senate in the state of Illinois. Now, are you running in this seat that's occupied by Durbin?
Yes, by Dick Durbin. Yes, he's been there for a long
Okay.
time.
Yep. So tell us why you decided to run for Senate.
I've been involved in a family business for 60 years. I mean, I'm 62 years old, and I grew up in a family business. We were heavy into energy, and when I was in my 20s, I began doing a lot of construction work, and I attended the University of Evansville, Schroeder School of Business, which is now a top 10 business school. And through the years, I have been involved in so much of Illinois business and watching the practices of Illinois and how it affects small business. For the last 15 years, I took care of my parents, or closer to 20. I worked full time, took care of my parents, who were both very elderly and ill. And I have experienced firsthand how the healthcare system has let us down. And I recognize the change that needs to be made, that healthcare should be a right, not a privilege as to the amount of money you have. And
Right.
access should be equal to anyone, no matter your age or your race or even your citizenship. It should be available to those who need it.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So you took care of both parents. Did you find that you had difficulties working through the system with both your father and your mother?
I was blessed in that we had a supplemental policy that picked up many of the expenses, but many of the expenses were not. I mean, if we had not had a business to help support that, to have that income to help support them, I don't know that I would have made it through, because it's very expensive. You don't, all the things that you need. I had a home health care policy that was worthless. I had taken out and paid fortunes into. And if a individual wants to take care of their own parents, a lot of times that home health care won't allow you to do it. You have to hire that as a third-party service. So there's so many intricacies that should not exist in the system.
And I'm sure that it was very frustrating, because when you're taking care of old elderly people, that's a real challenge.
It is. It is. My mother was still very active in the business right up to the day that she died, right to the day that she had her attack. And it's disheartening. I finally had to bring people in to help in the last few weeks, but she was a very independent soul. But healthcare, I'm experiencing now. I have terrible vision problems. I'm losing my sight a little at a time, and it's very difficult to navigate what's covered and what's not covered, and the quality of care that you get, where you can get it. Like now, Blue Cross Blue Shield has said that you can't be outside of Illinois without a waiver. And, of course, if you live in Southern Illinois like we do, you either have to go to Evansville, Indiana, or you have to go to St. Louis to get quality health care, because, basically we're in the middle of a cornfield. We're at the southern tip, we're in the southern tip of the state, where we have coal, trucking, farming, and not a lot of health care. So I'm a firm believer that health care should be a right in this country. And we have a way to pay for health care in this country. I just don't know I think the Affordable Care Act was one of the most wonderful things that ever happened. I just think instead of trying to destroy it, it should be expanded on and made better. It can be made better. There's no doubt about it.
Mhm.
And it shouldn't be based on income. It shouldn't be based on who you are or what's available to you. It should be a right, an absolute right.
And so I'm sure you've been campaigning throughout the state already, haven't you?
Yes, I've been doing some uh, private campaigning. I've been hitting the small businesses because I'm being in business most of my life. I understand the challenges that small businesses are facing. I'm, uh, if you'd like me to expand on this a little bit,
Sure.
I'm particularly hitting like the trucking industry. I think, I'm one of the few candidates that probably has um, a commercial driver's license in their wallet with multiple endorsements. And I understand exactly what these companies are going through. The regulations on trucking have become so strict from the federal level and the state level that companies are folding. They cannot hire drivers to drive those rigs, those trucks, to deliver products simply because of the hassle, because their hours are mandated now by computers in the trucks. Unless you have a pre 1999 unit, though, you have to follow a set of rules that are unbearable. The liability involved with trucking has become unbearable, and it's a national crisis. We have to ship product. We learned this during COVID. We have to be able to move product across the country. And when you put that barrier in front of these trucking companies, there's always going to be the actions of a few that create problems. And those can be dealt with within a legal system. That's what we have our laws for, and they work well when they're implemented. But to punish an entire industry for the actions of a few is ridiculous. And we have to deregulate trucking. It's one of the things that we have to deregulate. We have to allow the trucks to run again. We have to have cheap shipping in order to bring the products to market so that our groceries see a huge percentage. And I don't want to get out on a limb and say how much percentage, but it's a great percentage of cost is just the shipping of these products. And you could almost say it's almost as if a tariff has been placed on our trucking industry.
Oh boy.
That it just seems it is such an unfair thing that has happened to trucking.
And so when you go around and you talk about these specific issues to people, has the response been?
Oh, there's great recognition of the issues. One of my things is small business preservation. I call it regulation strangulation. And if we don't back off small business in this country, if we don't elect a group of senators and congressmen that actually understand, that have walked a mile in the shoe of a small business, and that you are up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week because it's on your shoulders, all these regulations are doing nothing but creating cost. And they're driving up the cost of your groceries, they're driving up the cost of your goods and services. But they also do one other thing, is they discriminate. When you are a multinational corporation or a billionaire or a huge stock exchange listed corporation, you can bear the burden of these extra expenses. You can put on a staff of people, you can put on a staff of lawyers to fight the government, to keep yourself in business, but small guys can't. And that's why you're seeing small businesses fold across the country, because you just cannot keep up with the rules, the regulations. They're piled on. There's more and more and more. There has to be a point where this regulation stops.
Okay, so when you talk to small businesses, small business people in Illinois who have either gone over the edge or about to,
Oh yes, yes.
what do they
There's a,
tell you?
there's a mass exodus in Illinois. I don't know if I don't know. I think Senator Durbin has been a wonderful asset to this country, but I sometimes wonder if our leaders have recognized the mass exodus that's happening right here in this state. Businesses cannot operate in this state from the regulation, and the trial lawyers are just Bill Clinton went on this years ago. The trial lawyers have just basically put half the industry out of business. Well, it's true. And Illinois is taxed out of the business. I mean, I've seen my business taxes double in the last 10 years. Double. You see regulation that you cannot follow. You don't have the staff, you don't have the money, you don't have the time. Now you're seeing property taxes. You're seeing the property taxes on your home just inflate. Well, you're basically at this point in Illinois, you're just simply leasing your home from the county. You don't really own it. You don't own property in Illinois. You're just simply leasing it because you can't pay the taxes on it. It's outrageous.
Really?
Yes.
And that's throughout the state, would you say?
Yes, it's throughout the state.
Okay.
It's throughout the state. We are focused. The way I view it is that the leaders that we have, the people that are running against me now, I don't know that they have a clue as to what's coming at them if we don't back off and allow growth, if we don't allow jobs, if we don't change legislation that allows companies to put people to work without fear of labor problems. The labor unions in Illinois are strong and they're necessary. The labor unions are necessary to protect workers' rights, but they need to be very, very sure of who they're letting lead them, in that they're promoting these companies to come in and build business. And this is one of the last places that people want to build a business. Companies do not want to come to Illinois. There is no incentive for them to come here. It costs a bundle, and the regulation is just out of control.
So you say there's a mass exodus out of Illinois. Where
Yes.
are people going?
Texas is a state that are getting a lot of our people. Texas is receiving a lot of people. Florida is receiving a lot of our people. They're moving south. They're moving south where there's manufacturing to get blue collar jobs. There's white collar jobs left.
Good paying?
Good paying jobs.
Well,
And what we're not dealing with in the next 5 years, over half of our white, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to be raising my voice, over half of the white collar jobs in this country are going to be affected by AI. Right now, you're seeing Marvin Ellis for installation services for Lowe's for years as a contractor, my company. And I watched it change and fold up. Marvin Ellison's telling his new recruits, don't apply for a white collar job. Don't apply for management. You need to think of yourself as a cashier, because AI is going to replace all of these white collar people I'm working with. And that is the way corporate America is thinking. Corporate America is saying, we can replace you, we can get rid of you, we can do it cheaper. And why don't you just settle for being a cashier? You know, that is one of the most offensive things I've ever heard in my life. But that is the way corporate America feels.
But a cashier, I don't think they have the income to pay the high mortgage rates.
They don't have the income to buy a home. They don't have the income to pay the taxes in Illinois. And you're also, and I'm sorry, you're also seeing corporate America owns so much of the housing. So corporate America is buying up the housing in Illinois, just like other places. And you are renting apartments. I mean, your chances of home ownership in Illinois has decreased so greatly because conglomerates own all the apartment complexes, the duplexes, the townhouses. They own all these complexes. And you're seeing corporate America, you're seeing agri-America, huge corporations buying up all the farm ground. All our beautiful black grain country is being bought up by corporations. We have to wake up. We just have to wake up. And
Okay, so you're running for the United States Senate, and I believe, from what I've read and what I've seen, a Senate race costs a lot of money. Do you have the means to wage an expensive campaign?
no, I don't. I
Okay.
don't have the means. I'm doing this out of sheer will. I have done what you see and what I've accomplished, I've done out of sheer will. And I'm
Okay.
going to continue to do it all the way to the primary somehow. I need help. I need volunteers. I need contributions because it appears now, and one of my things, I'm loading up to my website here soon, my points, like the cash ceiling is democracy nothing but a rich man's contest? And I would say it is. And you're seeing that in Illinois right now with Pritzker, our governor. He's a billionaire. He inherited his money. And he will pick the next senator of Illinois. And Jeanette, his lieutenant governor, is his pick. And that's my biggest fear. It's not just happening in the Republican Party. We hear about all the billionaires that are the Republicans' friends. Well, the Democrats have a lot of billionaires too.
Right.
And they are deciding who your elected officials are simply because democracy to them is how much money can you put into the election.
Right.
And a guy like me who has limited resources at this point, it's an uphill climb. And so I have to do it by pure tenacity and hope that at some point someone will pick me up, that there will be a pack out there that will say, he's got the right idea. Or that we'll get a grassroots following that will give enough money, and people don't have the money to give. If you go to the grocery store, you're looking at Walmart and Dollar Store. They're all reporting that people are spending less money, and they're simply spending less money because they don't have it to spend. And so you're seeing Democratic contributions down, down, down. And I'm using Act Blue to clear the transactions so that everything can stay above board and people's money, their transactions are safe.
Mm-hmm.
And you're seeing a definite decline in Democratic contributions this term. So it's a very serious situation for me. The only thing I can tell you is that I'm not giving in. If I wasn't able to do so much of the paperwork, the legal work, the web design, the writing, I do so much of it myself. So that's where I'm at.
Wow. So I give you credit for being a one-man show and trying to fight the establishment. Now, how long have you been in the race?
You know, at least 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been through 2 quarters. So this is the last quarter. The quarter's coming up June. At the end of June, I had to file with the FEC again.
Uh-huh.
That's a whole nother issue we could talk about is the Federal Election Commission. I had to file with the FEC again. So 2 quarters I've been in the race. I got in early so that I could get into this and because I have to do so much of it myself.
Mm-hmm. So in the course of your campaigning, are you building a staff? Are you building a lot of volunteers that are, helping you?
I have a lot of volunteers. Um, Cheryl, my life partner, we met each other. It's a wonderful story. We met each other 5 years ago, and we've waited our whole life to meet each other. And she does a lot of the graphic design for me. She's a well-known graphic designer.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have people on the ground that are delivering brochures, volunteers. And of course, what we're waiting for now is for Illinois to announce when they're going to allow petitions to be signed for the primary ballot. Because
Right.
one of the hardest things in Illinois politics is to make sure that you get on that ballot. Because it's not a very fair process, but you've got to follow the rules.
Right.
And so I've got to get about 5,000, no more than 10,000 signatures. And when I talked to them last week, they said that they were going to announce possibly at the beginning of July what day in August they would allow you to start getting signatures. And from that point, I've got 90 days to get 5,000, which I need a few more, in case there's problems with signatures. I've got 5,000 signatures to get together for the primary ballot. And so I'm waiting on that. And I've got 5 or 6 people on the ground that are going to try and help me get that done, get that out. So I plan on being on that primary ballot.
Good.
If
Eh,
at all possible.
I'm in New York, and if a third party candidate wants to run for office, when Cuomo was governor, he upped the ante. People at that point, had to get 15,000 signatures within a 30-day period. He raised it to 75,000 in a 30-day period.
Yeah, that would be.
So it's pretty tough.
Yeah, that would be tough.
Yep. So, if somebody wants to volunteer for your campaign, learn more about your campaign, send you a contribution, how could they do so?
They can do it in 3 ways. They can go to my website, which is leavellforsenate.com, and that's LEAVELL for Senate.com. They can email the campaign at Stan Leavell for U.S. Senate at leavellmail.com.
Okay.
They can use my personal email. I don't mind. We sort through a lot of emails every morning, and that's Stan at leavellmail.com.
Mhm.
And they can call the campaign phone at 618 383 6163. And we are very open to talking. We've been able to talk to everybody that's called. We have a few that are unanswered for the weekend, but we try to answer everybody that has a question.
Good, good. So thank you, Stan. I'm sure that we'll talk again throughout,
I hope
this election cycle. You've been listening to Stan Leavell. I'm Cynthia Pooler. This is Focus on the Candidates. So if you like this, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you, Stan. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Have a wonderful day.